This chapter about layers is one of the most important sections in this learning year of Photoshop. Although at first, background and foreground are not layers, contents like transparent can be a layer. Each layer can be adjusted and edited separately from the others, but only one layer can be edited at a time. Layers are listed in the layer palette form. The layer that is currently highlighted is the active layer and can be edited during that time. Now we will learn the basics about layers. After you opened a new page, just select Window, Show Layers. The Layers palette is where you control your layers. This little window of your images is called Thumbnail. To change the size of the thumbnail, choose Palette Options from the Layer Palette command menu, then click the size you want. The smaller the thumbnail, the less space the palette will take up on your desktop. Now we will make some layers. First, let's put something on the background layer. You might follow my steps. I open a new canvas and fill it with a color by using the airbrush or the color basket. I choose medium green color. Check the thumbnail. It's the only one on the palette and called background. To add a layer, click the small page icon at the bottom of the Layers palette. Here we have our first layer, Layer 1. This thick frame shows you that this is the active layer. The paintbrush indicates the active layer also. Paint all you want, but only the layer with the paintbrush receives the paint. Click in the white space to the right of the icon to change the active layer. Click in the empty box where the paintbrush icon should appear, and you'll see a chain icon, which indicates that the layers are linked. Click the eye icon to hide the layer. Click again to redisplay. Now change the active layer back to Layer 1 by clicking next to its thumbnail. Choose New Layer from the Layers palette command menu or type Alt and click. This is just a different way to do it. Enter a new name in the name field. Now you can choose a different opacity or blending mode, and you can do that later. Okay, now we have two layers and one background. I will put something on the first layer. Now it is the active layer. At first I choose a medium airbrush and a color like light red that contrasts with the green background. Then I write a number 1 to indicate that it is the first layer. Okay, I check the background and switch between it and the first layer. Now are both visible? Can you do that? Yes, it is easy. Use your brush to paint a number 2 in blue color in the middle of the canvas on Layer 2. So make it a thick second for second layer. Let's use the Layers palette pull-out menu to add layer and then paint a 3 on Layer 3 in yellow color. I'm not showing all the individual steps anymore because by now you are able to do it by yourself. Your screen should look something like this. You may have to expand the Layers palette to see all 4 layers. You can hide layers if you find them distracting or to work on later. You can move, add to, or erase anything on the active layer, but doing so doesn't affect layers above or below it. For instance, if you make Layer 2 the active layer, you can use the Move tool to slide the 2 around, but you can't move the 1 or the 3. You also can change the order of layers. Move a layer by holding the mouse button down. Drag the layer up to the top of the stack. It then becomes the topmost layer. Click to the right of the thumbnail of the active layer and hold. The active layer becomes highlighted with an outline. You can also select Delete Layer from either the Layers menu or the Layers palette pull-out menu. The warning box asks if it's really okay to delete the layer. If you Alt-click, you can skip the warning. Undo brings back the layer. You can also use the History palette to return to a previous state. Working with multiple layers. You have seen how to create, move, and remove layers, but we still haven't really addressed the question of what they're good for. You will also use layers in many different situations. Whenever you are combining 2 or more images, in Photoshop terms, compositing, the elements you paste over the background image are added on separate layers. You can use the Layers palette to control precisely how these elements are combined. You can control the opacity of objects you paste onto a layer or the paint that you apply to it. The layer itself is transparent, even if you set the paint on it to 100% opacity. You can also control the blending modes that affect how one layer appears on top of another, just as you could when painting over an image or background. The opacity slider is at the top of the layers palette. Click the triangle to the right of the percentage window to control the opacity of the active layer. It can be adjusted from 0 to 100% by dragging the slider or by entering a value by typing 0 for 100%, 1 for 10%, and so on. Let's do it with a yellow number. Can you see? The background through the 3? Drag the slider down to 10% and then less. Then move back to 100% again. Pretty cool, huh? Do not forget to activate the layer first. The opacity doesn't apply to the background directly. You can create a transparent background by opening a new canvas and selecting Transparent from its contents, as I do here. Now I can drag the background and some of the letters from the previous experiment into this new document. The advantage to this is that I can arrange them so that one layer is on top of the semi-transparency and not affected by it, and the other layer is beneath it and is changed by it. You should know that you can do the merging and flattening commands. You can save our memory space by merging groups of layers without flattening the entire image. It allows you to finish your work. With the flattening command, you can compress all visible layers down to one layer. Any layers that you have made invisible at the time of flattening are lost. Before you flatten an image, make sure that you are done. Check this out. All the layers are reduced to 1. Use the Layer menu or the shortcuts to apply to your layers these very useful commands.